Rage on that beat, going crazy. Rage on that beat, going crazy.
Welcome, welcome, welcome. Hopefully you can all hear me fine today. I hit that button a little bit early then. I was about 8 seconds. I got a bit excited. Checking the mic's all on. The mic is on. Checking the chat is there. Are you there, chat? Are you all good? Yeah, chat is all good. Good. We're all there. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Busy day today. A lot to talk about. Before I do that, I just want to say a few quick words. I don't like to be political, but sometimes it's easier not to say anything, but easy is not always the right thing. I know there's a lot of trouble going on in the US. I'd like to say, you know, it's new trouble, but this is not new. This is not new. And whilst it's very difficult for me, I always feel a bit awkward and because I'm part of the problem in a way, saying these things because I'm white. And I've never had a situation, I've grown up where I've never had any prejudice against me because I was born through this sort of nature's lottery to be given this privilege card when I was born that would meant that I would never have a problem in job interviews. I'd never have a problem in school and teachers or authority purely because of the way I look. So, and that's not right, and we know that, and that's none of this is new. So I just want to say to all my friends and cousins and everybody out in the US and around the world, but especially in the US right now, stay safe, protest the hell, because if the system doesn't work, then it needs breaking. That's all I'm going to say on that. And hashtag Black Lives Matter. It's difficult for me to say it as a white guy. It sounds a bit kind of disingenuous, but my heart goes out to you right now. Anyway, and there are more important things than Stadia and all that, but let's try and bring a little bit of brightness in our lives just for a brief moment. distract ourselves just momentarily from these things. Welcome, of course, to Stadia Monday Night Chat with me, your host, Clive Illenden. Welcome, chat. Welcome. As we jump aboard the Dragon X and take a trip to the International Stadia Station and explore all things Stadia in the past week. As I say, first of all, I hope you're all well and safe and everybody's cool and good right now for the moment. If you're new to the channel, then what are you doing? Welcome. Hit that subscribe and like. It's much appreciated, brothers and sisters. We don't have that many sisters in here, but come on, brothers and sisters, hit that like. Make sure you subscribe if you're new. It's always appreciated. And chat. Hello down there, chat. Let me have any questions that you might want me to ask. I can see there. That's good. Let me know. It's a busy chat today. It's always good to see. A little distorted. Oh, am I shouting a bit? Okay. Sorry about that. I was shouting. Getting excited. I'll turn down the mic there a little bit if I'm yelling too much. There we go. Just take that down. Hopefully that'll be a little bit better. My levels. See, my levels are distorting. Can't be helped. Right. Thank you for that chat. Anyway, as I say, let me know what games you've been playing. Put it in the chat down there. Type it away, chat. What games you've been playing. Any questions that you might have about stuff that's going on this week or stuff that's coming up that think is worthwhile discussing. Put that down there. That's always good. Feel free to avail yourself to the super chats. It's always appreciated. And on that note, I don't know if he's in the audience today, but a special. If he misses it, if he pops up, I'll do it again. But a special shout out to Michael John, as I promised I would give him a shout out. So Michael John, thank you for all the support that you've given me, my friend. Much appreciated. You asked for a shout out, and I gave you one. Oh yeah, and don't forget tonight's show, of course, is brought to you by Engage, or in this case, Disengage, the focus drink. It's not an energy drink. It's a focus drink. For those times when you need to focus when it's playing a game, or focus because you've got an exam coming up, or focus because you've got a big work project, then check out Engage, or in this case for the evening, Disengage. Links down below. Get 10% off now if you use the discount code FOCUSNOW. Focus now, ladies and gentlemen. Right. Are you ready? Are we ready in the chat? Dave with the much straight in there with the super chats. Dave, thank you very much, my friend. Good to see all the regulars here. Kevin, welcome. Rock, welcome. Jonathan, bit dodgy to me. Anyone else? How's the mic sounding now? Better? Sounds a bit rough. Ooh, let me just take down the main levels there. Hopefully that will be better. I will calm down a bit. Maybe take a bit further so I'm not shouting so much, and hopefully that will be a bit better. Hopefully you can hear me okay. Apologies for that. We try to be professional. Anyway, as I say, I hope you're ready. We've got a super busy day. I put here, wow, what a busty show. What? Spelling mistake there. It's a typo on my script. Busy show, I think that's meant to be. Busty show. It's not a 70s sitcom. A busy show because we've had a busy week in Stadia. So without further ado, as I say, in the chat, let me know what games you've been playing. Super hot, David Widnall. I saw Jerome, you've tested 2 out of the 5 pro games. That's good. A bit gainy. Okay, well, hopefully we'll see how it goes as we go along. Anyways, it's a busy week, so we'll crack on. Quickly with the news that we knew, games that arrived last week, of course. We knew this, so this is not a big thing. No great shakes here. Of course, last week, Jotun, so I think it was on Tuesday last week, so the day after my show, that's why it's included in this week. Jotun and Sundurit landed this week. Anybody bought those games? Anybody tried the games, played them out? Let me know. They look fantastic, as I've said before. They look really amazing, but they dropped last week. So new games dropping is always very great. Let me know whether you've played these games, what your thoughts are about them, whether they're worth it. What with all the Stadia Pro games that have delivered today, and are coming later in June as well, I kind of felt I didn't really want to spend the money on these two, oddly enough. I'll probably wait around, see if they end up being pro games later or get any sort of sales, because we've got so much in the library. Anyway, they're last week's games. We know that. Let's not spend too much time on that. As I say, we've got a lot to crack on and get through. So that was those titles. And of course, the big thing really that we're all excited about, of course, are the pro games, ladies and gentlemen. The wonderful pro games, of course, we've got here. So Get Packed. So that's an interesting one because they only just launched it. But I am looking forward to playing this as a multiplayer game, because most people say it's best to play as a multiplayer game rather than play the story mode version. Let me know what you think. Whether you played it. I'm really looking forward to doing this. I've not had a chance to play any of the pro games today. I've been hard at work all day doing my day job and then prepping for today's show. So I'm really looking forward to dipping into these. Little Nightmares I'm particularly looking forward to because it's a sort of slightly quirky, creepy nightmare platforming game that I like. There's an element of guilt to it. And Candleman. Anybody play Candleman? It was on Xbox Games Pass. An element of that as well. Power Rangers, the game you didn't know you needed. Now, the idea when they announced Power Rangers, I was like way back. So this is one of the games that they announced right at the beginning as being released on Stadia, and it's like, what, Power Rangers? Who's going to buy that? But actually, looking at some of the videos I've seen of it, it looks like a pretty decent fighting game in that very traditional sort of Japanese style of fighting games. And also there's also the sort of nostalgic element of it as well, the sort of the flashback element as well, so that's quite interesting. But let me know, has anybody played Power Rangers yet? It's free, why not? I'm going to give it a go again. Multiplayer. And it looks quite stylish as well. And it looks better than the kind of concept of the TV series. Ooh, controversial! But I always thought that, TV series was well dodgy. But as a fighting game, it looks, pretty standard in and I mean that in a good way, in the kind of style of Japanese fight game styles. Sort of Street Fighter, Mortal Kombat style thing. Ready! Anyway, now Super Hot is a game I've been looking forward to play for a long time. I think it briefly went in the Xbox Games Pass, and I never played it. But then as soon as I saw it was going to be announced for Super Hot, I thought, yeah, I'll definitely get that. But the fact that it's a pro game, I mean, I know it's been around for a while. Some people say it's best to play in VR version, but I'm looking forward to playing this. It's sort of stylish, imaginative, inventive take on the first-person shooter, where time only moves when you do. Interesting. I just love that kind of a quirky concept to it. So I'm really looking forward to Super Hot. Let me know what you think, whether you're looking forward to Super Hot at all, or anything like that. Panzer Dragon, of course, a remake. It looks really good as a remake for a game that's pretty old. It was out on the Sega. Correct me if I'm wrong, chat. I think it was out on the Sega, but it looks a pretty impressive remake, to be honest. Resurrector, hello, welcome to the channel. Welcome. Liam, welcome to the channel. Jonathan, Dave, everybody. Panzer Dragon makes a triumphant return of one of the game's great shooter classics. Pilot your dragon across strange and beautiful vistas, overcoming cunning enemies in this action spectacular. So yeah, again, I'm really looking forward to playing this. Dave Windle says, it gets tricky quick. Super tricky. All right. Okay, perhaps not then. I do have troubles with flying games, so that perhaps doesn't bode that well for me. But we'll have to see. So, 5 pro games. Pretty impressive on its own. But of course, well, in fact, as well, so the 2-month free Stadia Pro offer is dropping to 1 month. So as of June the 3rd. So if you sign up, if you're here and you haven't got Stadia, what are you doing? Get signed up. You've got until June the 3rd. But if you sign up to Stadia today, between today and June the 3rd, you're going to get 2 months free of Stadia Pro, and you will get 17 pro games. 17 pro games if you sign up, and 2 months free of Stadia Pro, 2 months to play them. That is a bargain. And it's interesting because Stadia originally said, for Pro, you'll get your 4K 60 game, play on the Chromecast Ultra with your controller, and you'll get 1 to 2 Pro games a month. Can you believe it? Stadia. Google Stadia. You lied. You over-delivered. You said we'd get 1 to 2 games a month. What the hell are you doing over-delivering? You liars, Google Stadia. 1 to 2 games a month. Pah! More like 3 up to 6 games. What's this over-delivering? I thought Stadia was the platform that under-delivered. And yes, there are people out in the Stadia community who like 2 games. No, we're going to give you 6 games. Are still like, but it's 6 games. Yeah, I know, but it's like, what? 6 games? On the basis that you were promised 1 to 2 games, you're getting delivered 6 games. Yeah, I know, but but I mean, they could do more. They could do more. Couldn't? Get out! What are you doing? 6 games. Goodness sake! Stop moaning. 6 games, ladies and gentlemen. Pretty impressive. And of course, the 6th game I'm talking about is, of course, Elder Scrolls Online, which is a big game that people have been talking about. Looking forward to it coming to the platform. So here it is. We're going straight to the source here, ladies and gentlemen. This is the Elder Scroll Online. I know there are big fans of this. I'm not a massive MMO fan because I've never had a sort of a gaming computer really to sort of get that involved, and I don't really like necessarily play them on consoles. I'm a console player, as you know. I like the kind of simple games that don't get too involved, first-person shooters, platformers, and stuff like this. But I'm looking forward to losing myself in the world of Skyrim. It looks, I'm feeling myself getting dragged in because the way that everybody and other people in the community have talked about their love of Elder Scrolls, and they can't wait for it to come, and they have it on the PC, etc., etc. So I'm looking forward to that. So, as announced in our Greymore launch article, starting June the 16th, you are able to explore Western Skyrim and Tamriel across devices with Stadia, including your laptops, desktops, compatible phones and tablets, TVs with the Chromecast Ultra, of course. Even better, but there's more. Ladies and gentlemen, there's more. Even better, with a Stadia Pro membership, you can get access to the Elder Scrolls Online Standard Edition. It's completely free, allowing you to experience the base game's 23 zones, 4 classes, and, more, and the Morrowind chapter, an additional zone, and the Warden class at no extra cost, ladies and gentlemen. Oh yes, you get all of this and more, but there's more. So you don't get the Greymore DLC, but you get the base DLC and the base game and the Morrowind chapter all for free. And of course, you can buy the Greymore launch element to it as well from the 16th, as well as I understand it. So there we go. Konnichiwa, arigato gozaimasu. Eddie, thank you for coming along. Much appreciated. Mariko, it's beyond the bargain. Between who are you? I'm just imitating people who moan that we got 6 games and it's still not enough for them in the Stadia community. You know who you are. Come on, cheer up, Sonny boy. Cheer up. Not Sonny, but just cheer up. Anyway, so there you go. Who is looking for? Who is a big fan of Elder Scrolls Online? Let me know. Let me know in the chat. Who has already tried? Who has already tried all 5 games available from Pro as of today? You think my gain is a little high? That's the second person who said that. There we are. I've taken it down. No, you're quite right. You're not the first Resurrector. You're not the first person to say it. The levels don't seem to. Okay, yeah. Let me just take my levels down. Take the level on the amp down. And up it in the OBS. That's the way to go. What am I drinking? Funny you should say that. I'm drinking Engage. Or Disengage for the evening. That's what I'm drinking. Just relaxes me, believe it or not. Focuses me. Anyway. Right. So, bargain, as they say. So what else, of course? There's more. There's much more. There's so much more. So I just want to, I saw a mention as well, and I don't have the tweet, but there was a tweet from the developers of Orcs Must Die 3. Yeah, Orcs Must 3, confirming that Orcs Must Die 3 is a Stadia exclusive. I think we knew that, but this is definite confirmation, and that it would be launching for summer 2020. So within the next, I don't know, not many people launch games in August. So within the next, I reckon the next 2 months, probably could be a July drop. We're going to see Orcs Must Die 3 as a Stadia exclusive. I think somebody was asking the developer whether it was coming to PC, and they said no, it's going to be a Stadia exclusive, a timed exclusive on Stadia only, launching in summer 2020, and then they would make more announcements once the Stadia had launched about when it would be arriving on other platforms. I think we knew about that, but it was just a fresh tweet, so I thought I'd share that. But there's more. Other news in Stadia, of course. And this is quite interesting, I think, beyond the fact that it's a small patch and maybe not significant to a lot of people, but I think there is some major significance in this. So Lost Words Beyond the Page had a patch. All games, you know, they have these patches, but more interestingly, the patch but delivers in 4K 60 frames per second thanks to a new patch. So a simple patch, and suddenly a game is playing in 4K 60 frames per second on Stadia, just via a small patch.
Yeah, but Stadia doesn't play in 4K, and if it does, it's only 30 frames per second, or if it's 60 frames per second, it's 1080p.
4K, 60 frames per second. Okay? Just let me know in the chat if you don't understand any of that concept. Now, why is this significant? I mean, in addition to other aspects and just general quality of life updates, I think developers refer to them, 4K resolution at 60 frames per second, improved animations. This is a game that already looks terrific. It looks beautiful and lovely, and one of my favorite games on Stadia. And I might go back to it just to have a look and play a few levels, and of course there's some different endings, and try that out. But they've added, so there's a whole list of stuff they've added here. But as I say, general fixes, quality of life changes. But the key thing is the 4K resolution, 60 frames per second, added and improved animations for the player character and other actors. So why this is significant is that they have demonstrated that they've got that, obviously they're under pressure to deliver this timed exclusive, get it out onto Stadia. They don't have that long with the tech. It's fairly, new tech, obviously maybe 12 months, 6 months before Stadia was launched. They're working with it. And all the great games that really push the tech in consoles come in the latter part of a console's life cycle, when the developer has had a chance to deliver some games, and then they really start learning and understanding the engines, and then they start pushing what the consoles can do, and really, like all techie guys, they love to push the boundaries. First of all, it's learn the tools, understand the tools, what can the platform do? And then once you've learned that, it's like, oh, could I push those boundaries slightly further, slightly, more forward, and really squeeze everything out I can of this platform. And so clearly what's happened here is that they've done everything they can to deliver the game on time to Stadia in a really good condition, in a great looking condition. And then they've used the time since then to go, do you know what? Maybe we wanted to deliver it in 4K 60 frames per second when we delivered it, but we weren't too sure. We sacrificed that in order to deliver quality in the game at the time and deliver it on time. But now we've had time. It's a simple patch, 4K 60 frames per second. Are we going to see that in other games? There has been, some people have talked about Borderlands 3, and they've seen improvements in the frame rates there and in the quality. Is this an ongoing thing? Can we see an updated patch for Metro Exodus? Make it 4K 60 frames per second rather than 4K 30 frames per second? Could we see an improvement in Destiny? Have we seen some improvements in Destiny? Let me know if you think any games have sort of changed. But I think this is quite significant. It's the fact that developers are beginning to get their the hang of the Vulkan, programming of the Vulkan engine and Stadia and the platform, and it didn't seem to be that much effort on their part to turn it up to 11. And as the tech gets better, the Google, the new blades come. There, are we going to see developers go back to if it's this fairly straightforward, like it's just a patch? Are we going to see developers go back and just do new patches that bring better fidelity to some of the Stadia games already? I can see that happening. I can see tweaks along with, as I say, these general quality of life improvements. I can see general resolution improvements happening as we go along. Let me know what you think in the chat. I don't want any of that. Thank you. So there we go. So let's have a quick look at the chat, see what's going on. Rocket League drops this year. Jonathan says, I'll be ecstatic. I'm pumped to try ESO, says Mark. The pro games are meh for me. That's fine. It's not going to be, you can't please all the people all the time. But the point is, I'm happy that there is a constant flow and variety, because there are, people who love ESO, or people who love, Panzer Dragon and those things, even Power Rangers, whatever. So it's good to have that variety. As I say, you're not going to please everybody all the time. I did play all the game. It's a blast, says Owen LLC and Goddess Elsa. I did. It's a blast, except Panzer Dragon. They need to add some rumble. Okay, that's interesting. Eddie Stadia, Eddie Player One. Sorry, he's not Stadia Player One, ladies and gentlemen. Oh no, he's Eddie Player One, rebranding. Welcome, Eddie Player One. Is that but formerly formerly known as Prince? Yeah. Formerly the artist known as Stadia Player One is now Eddie Player One. Welcome. I haven't tried any of the pros yet. Going to try them later tonight. Yeah, I might dip in later tonight if I'm still hyped or pumped or whatever. Anyway, so other things in the news I'm super excited about. Take that down, take that down, take that down. Other is this, ladies and gentlemen. It is Metro games coming soon to Stadia. I love Metro Exodus. I played it briefly on the Xbox One, but I played it all the way through on Stadia, and it was a real pleasure. The developer and Deep Silver and just are really clever at making a game feel really atmospheric. The relationship you have with your other characters, the animations in it, the way the first person character sort of moves, it doesn't feel like you're on a sort of a camera, on a steady cam. It feels more fluid in the way that you move, and when you interact with objects, it feels much more realistic, like how I imagine games should be. I love the games, and Metro Exodus was a great game, and I immediately bought out the DLC afterwards, Sam's Story, and played that through. Really enjoyed the game, so I'm so hyped that Metro Redux is coming, and so Metro 2033 Redux and Metro Last Light Redux arriving soon for purchase. I will be buying one of these games, if not all of them. Step back into the boots of Artyom and charge into epic adventures in the Moscow Metro in the definitive remastered versions of both games. Kevin Webb says, I just completed Metro Exodus on Saturday night. What a brilliant game. Indeed, my friends. Indeed, indeed. It is a wonderful, wonderful game. 4A Games are just great developers, and I'm glad they're working for Stadia. Clearly they are. They've gone back. It requires time and effort to port a game. And, why you need good reason or a good relationship with the platform to go, you know what, let's go back and port these games, because you've got to put a team on that. And they've obviously seen the value in doing that. Some publishers don't. These developer, 4A Games and Deep Silver, do see the value of having a relationship with Stadia, getting their games on Stadia. They see the value of how they look on Stadia, and that's the key thing. They know the games look good on Stadia, and it gives a platform for their art, their work, to more than just the people who've got super expensive gaming computers who need, that you need to really see these games at their best. Now, yeah, it's only in 30 frames per second. It's 4K 60. It looks amazing. Some people don't like the fact it's at 30 frames per second, but it's not PvP. It would be good if it was 60 frames per second, just to give it slightly more smoothness, but it just looks amazing. And these games are a much welcomed addition, a quality addition to the Stadia library. So I salute you, Deep Silver. I salute you, 4A Games. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Let me know what you think about these games. And of course, don't forget to subscribe, ladies and gentlemen. Don't forget to subscribe. Let me know what you think about Metro. I think this is a big, one of the big announcements, I think this is really, really cool. And I'm so glad that these games are going to be part of the Stadia library. Resurrection says, I love 4A. They're very proud dev. Exactly. Technically very competent. They are really competent. I just love the movement in the first person camera. It's different. It feels more organic or fluid. It feels more realistic, and the stories are great. I mean, they're based on great stories. They're based on a graphic, great, if those that don't know, most of you probably do, but they're based on a graphic novel. And the opening sequence of Metro Exodus, with the train going through the subway and the people on the platform are like the history, the story, the way the storytelling in that opening sequence is of the highest filmmaking quality or storytelling quality in a sort of visual form. It is brilliant, absolutely brilliant. It's interesting to see how Google Stadia would react after this Thursday announcement from both Sony and Bandai Namco. Yeah, we might not see any announcements from Stadia this week. Sony are not making any announcements this week, Mariko. They have postponed it because of more important things going on in the world, as have EA. We're going to make an announcement because it's E3 week, ladies and gentlemen. The first week of June is traditionally E3 week. So this is the big news week. But quite rightly, Google have announced that they are delaying some announcements. EA have announced they're delaying some announcements. Sony have announced that they're going to delay their announcements this week because there are more important things going on in the world, and right now is not the right time, and they're probably the right decisions to make. We can wait another week or so for announcements. There are bigger issues going on. So quite right, EA, Sony, and Google, and everybody else, all the companies that are postponing. And I think we'll see more. There will probably be quite a handful of big announcements, as I say, because it's E3 week, effectively. So it is the key, even though E3 is not happening, it is the date that all the marketing and PR was focused on, was this week, the next couple of weeks. So well done for those companies who have decided there are more important things going on in the world right now, and this is not the time to make those announcements and shove them on to next week. That's absolutely the right thing to do. Right, ladies and gentlemen. So, thank you all for sitting through. We've come to the big bit that I know a number of people are here today to hear what I have to say. So I shall take a drink as I look at the chat. Zombie Army 4 is incredible. Just had to tweak sensitivity. Yeah, sometimes I wonder about sensitivity. I love that. I don't like changing the sensitivity because in case I mess it up and get it wrong, and I sort of live with things sometimes, but maybe I should. Some people say change the sensitivity settings on Metro Exodus as well for a better gaming experience. I've not done that. Dave Widnall says, I'll be buying the 3 Metro games. Jerome says, I like twerk better. Yeah, not tweak, twerk, yeah. No twerking here. Kevin Webb, I completed Metro Exodus. We said that Saturday night. Brilliant game. I think they need a bundle collection on Stadia Store. That will sell well. Yeah, they'll probably do a special offer, I think, when they launch them. Anyway, so this week there was an article in Forbes. It wasn't only in Forbes. A number of media outlets picked up on it. And it is about the CEO of Take-Two Interactive, a certain Strauss Zelnick. That's his name. And basically the headline is that from this, so he gave a talk, and I'm going to talk about this in quite depth here. Have I dyed my beard? No, it's going a bit grey, but it's always Celtic ginger for some reason. Many people, fair-haired people, have a ginger beard. Anyway, so the CEO of Take-Two Interactive gave a speech, and in that he made reference to Stadia and basically said Google overpromised, and let me just get this right in terms of the reporting. Oh yes, and cloud gaming, and Google overpromised and was not a game changing, and was not game changing, and is not game changing. That is basically the headline that came out of this talk that he gave, and we're going to unpack it a bit and give you more details about exactly what was said. So the headline in Forbes was along the lines of Google overpromised and therefore Stadia is not a game changing. That was basically the extrapolated headline, the nice soundbite that Forbes went with. And of course Forbes went with it, and other people went with it, as we've seen so many times, and is the nature with so much media, lazy journalism. See one article, they're saying Stadia's bad over there. Did you read that? They say apparently Stadia's bad. Stadia is bad. I read it over there. Oh, did you read that article about saying Stadia's bad? I read it over there. Who read it over there? Oh, Stadia is bad. And we've seen it, this negative, it says something about how negative Stadia stories get click, and I'll talk about that as well. So this talk was 54 minutes long. Okay, so this was a talk with the Bernstein Strategy Group or something like that. I'll leave the details for you in a minute. And basically, it's an investors talk, okay? So this is a talk given by a CEO to financial investors about their company, what's happening currently in their company, how they see what their company strategy is, how they see their company going. And this was a 54-minute Q&A chat session from the CEO of Take-Two Interactive. And out of that, he mentioned Stadia in a minute, in 1 minute section. And I've just maybe a minute, a bit long, but about a minute, yeah? And out of this whole talk, where he covered the whole gamut about Take-Two Interactive Games, what their business model was, how before he came in, they were near bankruptcy, they had a very dodgy business model, where they really dependent on Grand Theft Auto, really, and when that wasn't launched in that year, they sort of crashed and had a thorough year the other years, and then Grand Theft Auto came out, and there's a lot of pressure to get that out, and that wasn't very healthy on the developers and all this kind of stuff, and they changed that strategy and focused on basically delivering and pushing the best games they could. And only, now this is his, whether you agree with this or not is a different issue, but their business model is only delivering a game when it's right to deliver, when it's ready, and when it's of the best quality it could be, and not just rinse a game. And what he was making there was a reference to, because he mentioned about the sports titles they've had, and how when they handle a sports title, they're not ones for just doing it every year. So there's an NBA 17 and there's an NBA 19. I'm not sure there's an NBA 18, is there? They deliver the game when it's ready. And so I think this was a little dig, if anything, given some other news this week about EA and the way that they handle their franchises and how they just churn them out every year because they're big business, big earners for them. They churn it out. Some years you have quality in FIFA and Madden. Some years the quality goes down, but they just churn them out every year. And Strauss, he was saying that that's not the business model of Take-Two Interactive. Their model is very much about, they know if they build 5 or 6 quality games in that particular year, people will spend £60 on those games. So they sell them at the top price. That's why you always see Red Dead Redemption or Grand Theft Auto, usually they maintain their price value. It's usually the 50 quid, the $60. It's constantly at that price. Occasionally you have sale, but it stays at that price for a long, long time. It has a long tail at that price, and that's their business model. And that also feeds into something else that he said. Before I come specifically to exactly what he said to Stadia and why it's important that we go to the source of the speech and we understand, A, who the audience of that speech is, B, what was said before the quote, what was said after the quote, and D, what the business strategy for that company is and how that relates to Stadia. And their business, Take-Two's business strategy, as I say, is about high quality games that people will spend 60 quid on, the sort of people who may only buy 2 or 3 games a year. And if they're going to spend, and he talks about this in his speech and in interview, his feeling, and I'll come to this about cloud gaming, is that if you're going to spend £60 on a game, why wouldn't you spend 300 quid to 500 quid or $300 to $500 on a console? That's how he sees the business model. Now, obviously, they are always looking for new revenue streams, and Stadia represented that and represents that, and that's why they supported Stadia. Now, I'm going to play you a clip now, ladies and gentlemen, and I want you to pay attention in the class. Wake up, pay attention in the class. I'm going to play you a clip now, ladies and gentlemen. Hopefully I've got it at the right place. I think I have. In fact, let me just put my headphones on so I can hear what he's saying. Right. So I'm going to play this bit here, and hopefully you can hear it as well. So pay attention to what he says here.
And his lesson was, if somebody is going to eat your lunch, you might as well eat it yourself. There's a couple questions.
I guess we must have gone to the same business school.
We can look that up and see. But see, I still remember it. It was a long time ago. I still remember. There's a couple questions on here, and we're going to run out of time here in 5 minutes. But let me consolidate.
Five minutes left.
Gaming. So let me just throw out the topic. The questions are around the economics of cloud gaming, what it does to the gaming options. If you think about streaming in the cloud, and even subscription models. So that's a lot of aspects wrapped up into a quick question around, but the topic is cloud gaming. And, a year has passed. Where's your head on that?
So let's make sure to distinguish between streaming, which is a technology, and subscription, which is a business model. You do not need streaming to have subscription. And you can have streaming and not need to have a subscription business. So streaming technology is upon us. The launch of Stadia has been slow. I think there was some over-promising on what the technology could deliver and some consumer disappointment as a result. I think anytime you broaden distribution, you would potentially broaden your audience, which is why we supported the release of Stadia with 3 titles initially, and will continue to support high-quality streaming services as long as the business model makes sense. And over time, I believe streaming will work. I had said prior to the release of Stadia, and I continue to stand by this view, it's not a game changer. People who want our games now can get our games now. The fact that you could stream them and not have to have a console interface is really not that big a deal.
Right. So I will leave a link in this. So there's a couple of things here. And the key thing for me, the most important thing for me here is that he said, I said it prior to Stadia launching. I said it prior to Stadia launching, and I'll say it again here. Cloud gaming is not a game changer. So what he's talking about there is, in his business model, which I explained to you before, he doesn't see cloud gaming generally as a massive game changer for publishers like him. Not a radical, and he goes on to say, we don't see the market suddenly exploding tenfold. So he's putting it in that context. Yes, it is another revenue stream. Yes, they will support Stadia. Yes, they will support other cloud streaming platforms because it's another revenue stream. Is it a revolution to the business model in his eyes, or as far as his company is concerned? No. So that's what he's talking about. He says specifically there, I said it prior to Stadia launch about cloud gaming in general, and I stand by what I said. So let's unpack that. So then he also talks about Stadia being slow on the launch, and there being consumer disappointment, and because of over-promising. And I think we can, to a certain degree, we can agree on that the messaging, and I've said it before loads on this channel, I've said that the way that Stadia managed the messaging is they were not clear enough to the consumer about how Stadia would be rolled out. For those at the front of the class, who pay attention to teacher, it was very clear. To little Johnny and whatnot at the back, who wasn't really paying attention, it was less clear. And I can understand, because Google didn't handle the narrative in a clear way, there was disappointment. So Google Stadia very clearly said, this is what Stadia is, and this is all the things that it can do. And we'll be telling you about how we're going to be rolling this out in the near future. And then in the near future, in I think August time or whatever last year, they said, we'll be rolling out Stadia in this way. Okay? But that message about we'll be rolling it out, this is what it can do. These are all the wonderful things to do. And they were right to say all those things because they were talking to the, the tech lovers and the developers and the publishers to say, wow, look at all this thing Stadia can do. But we'll be rolling these features out. But they didn't make that clear enough. And of course, little Johnny at the back, not paying attention, ran off with all their imagination about what it will be. And of course, it delivered. And it didn't have all these features that they said, look, what everything Stadia could do back in March 29. It didn't have them on November the 19th. And the narrative suddenly became this, oh, I'm disappointed it hasn't got all these features that they said they would have. And if people had been paying attention and listened carefully, they never said they'd have all those features from day one. But the fault is partly on Google by not making it clear enough that that would be the case. So yes, arguably, there has been some consumer disappointment. We can't argue with that. We just look at the press and the negative narrative that exists. There has been some consumer disappointment in the marketplace. If you're not in our Stadia bubble and you're looking in and you're just seeing YouTube and the press, there does seem to be at the beginning some sort of narrative of disappointment that somehow Stadia had undelivered and overpromised and underdelivered. We're seeing that change now. But that's one thing. What the press has gone off and done is conflated the two things. What they've done is conflated the fact that he said that Stadia has arguably in the consumer mind underdelivered and that ergo it is not a game changer. Okay? Those two concepts have crashed together and been conflated. And that's the negative narrative that the press has run with. And as I said before, it's important what he said before, it's important what he said afterwards, and it's important the context of the audience he's talking to. And he talks about specifically the reason he said prior to Stadia launching that he didn't think cloud gaming in general would be a game changer is because he strongly believes that people who will pay £60 for a game like Red Dead Redemption or Grand Theft Auto 6 when it comes out, or even NBA 2K, people who pay money for top quality games are the sort of people, are their market, who are prepared to spend £300, £500 on a console, or even more on an expensive PC to play those games. And all the games, he says, eventually come to PC. The value, and then he talks about subscription models, which is something slightly different. And if anything, what he talks about subscription models is not the Stadia subscription model, which is something slightly different because you get an added value. He's talking more about a Netflix-like model, i.e. Xbox Games Pass. So he's specifically having a dig, in a way, at Xbox Games Pass. But I didn't see that in the press. But clearly what he's saying is he doesn't, and I was going to say, I'll share the speech and the transcript to you. But he doesn't see the value proposition of a Netflix-style subscription. And he thinks people have just looked at Netflix and the success they've had and think it's a quick rich scheme in a way. And he doesn't really see the value proposition. When he talks about the value proposition, he talks about the value to the consumer and the value to the publishers and developers, and that point in the middle that meets. He thinks that the subscription model is value to the consumer, but not necessarily value to the publisher, And unless it's value for the publisher, they're not going to build games for that subscription model. So that's a real dig. What he's talking about is Games Pass, which is the closest thing to a Netflix type model. That's a real dig at Games Pass. But that bit's not reported in the press, of course. So, as I say, I just think it's really interesting the fact that he believes that the games that they create based on their business model are aimed at people who are prepared to spend, buy 3 or 4 key titles throughout the year, and on that basis, because they're spending 60 quid on a game, are happy to spend 300 quid, 500 quid on a console. And that's why he doesn't think, he didn't think, and he doesn't think that cloud gaming is going to suddenly open up a marketplace that is 10 times bigger than the current market or anything like that. That's what he's talking about. He just sees it as another revenue stream, not a game changer. So once again, the press have taken a soundbite, a quote or 2 quotes out of context, conflated them together to support and continue this negative narrative that exists because negative Stadia stories are good, instant, quick clickbait titles in the world of gaming right now. So he makes some valid points, but you have to understand the whole speech, who he's talking to, what he said before, and what he said afterwards. And what I'm going to do here is I'm going to share this with you guys. Shareable link. Right, I'm going to share this in the chat with you. Here's the transcript. I'll also share, you can download it from my, hopefully you can access that link. But there we are. Let me know what you think. That's my little piece on it. As I say, whenever I see a story, whatever, I'm always curious about the detail, and I like to go to the source. So I spent some time, and I thought, why am I reading an article about it when I can go to the actual speech? And so I found this, and I will share it for those that want this video. This was on this investor site, and this was a 54-minute chat with the CEO of Take-Two Interactive, talking about their business model, their approach, and from a business investor point of view, and how they see the marketplace. And 1 minute of it was a brief, we're running out of time, let's know your thoughts on cloud gaming, right at the end. And that's the key thing. Let me know in the chat what you think about that. Do you think I've kind of, whether you think the articles in the Forbes article was valid, was not valid, etc., and things like that. But I'd be interesting to know your thoughts on this generally, everybody. But those are my thoughts anyway on the chat. As I say, I will later on, I will drop this link, and you can watch it. Those of you that really want to can watch the whole 54-minute interview with the CEO of Take-Two Interactive. It's very much their business model, and they are just one publisher. As we've seen from Deep Silver have a different attitude to it. Ubisoft obviously have a very different attitude. EA have a much more of a kind of rinse repeat kind of attitude. So it's just very, very interesting. But there you go. So chat, let me know what you think about that. Let me know if you can get that link. Let me know generally. Let's have a look at the chat to see what they're saying. Let me go back to the main one there. I haven't, sometime, yeah, NBA 20 gets stick on all the platforms, not sure about its quality. Exactly. He talks about WWE and how it wasn't quality and how they went back to the drawing board on it and they recognized it. This is not every game. They aim for quality. Of course, all publishers aim for quality, but it is a really important element of their business model. And you can see, as I say, the pricing of Red Dead Redemption 2 stays at that level for a long time because they know people who spend money on consoles are willing to spend 60 quid on a game of that quality. I think Jerome says, I think people's expectations were and are very high. Yeah, I think they were. And this is partly fueled by Stadia's announcement back in March 2019, and then not being clear enough about the fact that they'd be rolling out many of the features that they're presenting. What they were doing at the time then was talking to developers and publishers, as I said before, but they didn't handle that narrative, and then the narrative took its own little life form, and it took a while really for Google to sort of get on that. And the only way they're going to really undo that narrative is really just keep going, rolling out the features, adding to the games library, and slowly but surely ticking off all those things that people, there's no games. It's not in 4K 60 frames per second. Oh, you can only get 4K in the Chromecast Ultra. Just slowly go through those things, improve it, which we've seen them doing already all the time. Yeah, Liam Paramid says it's not a game changer. Why they would Stadia? They would Stadia because it's still what he's saying about it not being a game changer is he talks specifically about increasing the market tenfold. In those, so not just consumers' expectations, but I know anybody in the industry that suddenly thought, oh wow, cloud gaming, this is going to open up gaming to thousands and thousands of people, and they're going to buy my $60 game, and suddenly my market, my net worth, as he likes to say, the net bookings are going to be increased by tenfold. And he's saying no, that was never going to be the case. In his mind, it was never going to be the case in the first place. That's what he's talking about. He said it before Google Stadia launched, and he says those very words in here. And he said, I said it prior to Stadia launching. Cloud gaming is not a game changer in his in the view for Take-Two. It is an avenue for them to release games, and they will continue to support, and he says it in here, they will continue to support cloud gaming going forward as long as the business model makes sense. What that means is as long as there's an audience for it, they will continue to support it. Whining glad Stadia launched when it did, and my opinion of the launch was great. Well, my expectations were, it met my expectations. Well, it was slightly, it satisfied my expectations, but that was because I knew that not all the features were going to be rolled out instantly, and even though some features weren't in there straight away, I was a little bit disappointed with. I was like, yeah, they're going to be rolling them out. It's the way Google is. So I kind of knew that. I got that. But I can understand, and that's what was so frustrating reading all these articles when Google Stadia launched. Oh, it hasn't got, they haven't delivered half the things they promised. Well, they never promised they'd deliver it on November the 19th. They never said that. They never, ever, ever said that. But the point is, if you don't make it clear, people will fill the gap. Yeah, nature abhors a vacuum, and people fill that gap with nonsense and expectations. And when those expectations, their own expectations, which they've created, aren't met, they blame the product. And Google needs to know that and handle people's expectations. Resurrector says companies like Take-Two made too much money from PlayStation and Xbox. Exactly. They look at their business. Is this going to make me $1 billion? Before they commit to a game, they're looking at it as $1 billion before they commit to a game. That's what he says in this thing. It was fascinating. I can't wait to see the prices of the next-gen consoles. Exactly. Marika says, I've read the article. Good. He gets a good point as a CEO in gaming industry. I want to consume a new game, don't want to spend ridiculous money on games. Stadia is great. Exactly. The sort of people, well, like some of the pro games, people are going, oh, it'd be good to see some more AAA games. We know the gaming industry is full of games of different types and different variety. And not everybody, wants to instantly play all the AAA. It's important you have the AAA games, but it's important you have a mix. And most of the games that Take-Two produce are the bigger AAA games, and their business model is on the basis that people spend £60. A lot of people who use Stadia, especially the state-free Stadia, might not want to spend £60 on a game. Or if they do, it's a special treat. but they don't mind accessing sort of slightly more quirky games, interesting games, and having the ease of access to play them on Stadia. So the Stadia business model will increase quite significantly the revenues for some undiscovered games, or, as he even mentions here, back catalogue. It's a great place for back catalogue, and subscription models are a great place for back catalogue, but not for big AAA releases, in his opinion. Great for casual gamers. Exactly. Dave Widnall says, wait until Stadia hits India. Exactly. There are I've said it before so many times on the Stadia Monday Night Chat that there are markets like India that don't have ready access to PlayStations and consoles. And yet we have seen with the rise of PUBG on mobile phones, so the PUBG mobile phone version is absolutely massive in India. Massive. They have full-on PUBG mobile phone tournaments. So something like Stadia opens up the marketplace where you don't need consoles or you don't need powerful computers, and you can play it on your phone. And if you can play PUBG on your phone, the mobile version, there's a good chance you can play Stadia on your phone. So when that's rolled out to India, that is a massive, massive market. And it's not just India, but India is a big gaming market that is untapped, because not everybody has gaming PCs, and consoles and the Xboxes and PlayStation are not massive in India. But the rise of the mobile phone infrastructure in India has been massive, and mobile phone, as I say, PUBG on mobile phone is a prime example of that. It's massive. So globally, it will be significant. But they talk about Take-Two. They have NBA in China, but it's not on console. It's on. It's an online version of the game. So they find where the marketplace is. So we know that cloud gaming will present another outlet and another marketplace, and he's not dismissing it on that basis. He's just saying he never thought it was such a radical game. It would never be a radical game changer, and that was before Stadia launched. And that's the key thing. I guess I rambled along a lot, but that's my key message. And this is not the message or the narrative that you're getting from the articles that have been written about this. He said prior to Stadia launching, he did not think cloud streaming was a game changer, and he stands by that statement now. Irrespective of Stadia, irrespective of whether Stadia was a successful launch or not. He's not saying because he didn't think Stadia had a slow launch, that cloud gaming is not the game changer. He's not saying that because of Stadia. He's saying that prior to Stadia, cloud gaming in general, he did not think for the Take-Two interactive business model was going to be such a radical game changer as everybody thought it was going to be for them. He thought it would offer a new revenue stream, but not this tenfold revenue stream that some people maybe thought that cloud gaming would usher in. We've yet to see as cloud gaming, not just Stadia, but other cloud gaming is rolled out worldwide. Xbox know it. Tencent in China and Asia Pacific know it. Nvidia know it. Nvidia empowering the Tencent machines. There is massive markets in the global place that will open up gaming for, the cloud gaming will open up a games market that was not there before. And as I say, NBA 2K is on an online version in China because the market's there for it, and he will go where the market is, and we know the market will exist in cloud gaming, and he said it himself, it's just going to be a bit longer to get there, and that's fair enough. Anyway, ladies and gentlemen, let me know what you think. Rant over. That's my piece. I think I've covered everything today. Just quickly, before I do, there are a couple of things to shout out. So there is a video by Gem Stadia. Check his channel out, which he's gone and explored all the various Stadia pages that are hidden, that we don't see. Basically, a Stadia page has a sort of the URL has a little number at the end, like 48, for Stadia Pro games, and then the URL's got sort of 48 question mark at the end. And he's basically gone through and just put in random numbers. And he's discovered all these pages. And Stadia Source, much of the news has come from there. Go and see Stadia Source. They've listed all of these, but you should check out Gem Stadia in the YouTube. He's done a breakdown of all these lists. And I'll just quickly flash it up here for you so you can see. The video's a bit dry, but it's just very interesting, where he goes through all the new Stadia hidden URL things. And basically, Stadia Source have taken the time to go through this video here and basically say, here are all these hidden links. Buy it again, Go Deluxe, Deluxe Editions, Stadia Pro deals of the season, Black Friday deals. So these are all pages that are hidden, that exist on Stadia. Reduced price, all deals. And Gem Stadia basically goes through each one and speculates what he thinks they'll mean. Previously available in Stadia Pro, only on Stadia, reduced price, new trailers, add-ons for your games, games that your friends are playing, New Year deals. So all these pages that will be in the Stadia store and other things. So it's just quite interesting. Gem Stadia is the guy. You check out on Stadia Source. They've got the story here, but check out his videos. He goes through each, and there's loads of them. As you can see, 60 plus pages that he's discovered just by putting in random numbers at the end of the Stadia URL. He's discovered 60 different hidden Stadia listings, which give a clue to what's coming with Stadia and the Stadia store. And the other thing as well, is there was an APK unpacking revealing a few hidden things. Again, that's on Stadia Source. I won't go into it now. Of course, check out Stadia Source. They talk about the unpacking as well. And one final thing before I forget, of course, on the weekend, if you missed it, was the inaugural PUBG Stadia Creators Cup. So this was organized by Adaxis, Tom, Sounds of Stadia, Tom. Well done. Thank you, Tom. And thank you for everybody who took part. It was really fun, even though I didn't do that well, to be honest, my team. But we had fun. And basically, it was a private game set up with just a bunch of Stadia content creators like myself in various teams. We had our own private sort of server, as it were, in PUBG, created our own private game and streamed it all for your pleasure. And all I want to do really is just leave you with the more important brief highlights, which I think, let's not miss the important, let's go back to the beginning. Just leave you with the important brief highlights that I think are worth sharing with you all. Enjoy. Oh, who's that? Oh, Brian. Nothing like killing a man who's down. Link TV did all the damage. And then I basically shot him in the head when he was lying on the floor half dead. I wonder who else tastes the wrath of Lord Kensal. I wonder who else. I hope you all watched it and enjoyed the various activities. Oh, who's this coming up over? Who's this coming up over the hill? Is it a monster? No. Who is it? Oh, it's Chase. Oh dear. That's basically my highlights. As Club Stadia, Brian said, do I want to roll it on that video on a little bit further? No, that will do nicely right there. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope you enjoyed the PUBG Creators Cup, Stadia Creators Cup. It was a lot of fun. All the people who took part. Thank you for being here tonight. I'm going to wrap it up. As I say, stay safe out there. My heart goes out to you. The trouble's there. I hope things improve just generally in life. Please, we need some change. Generally, society needs to take a good look at itself. That's all I'm going to say. It always has, and it continues to need a good look at itself. And I hope things change for the better. Thank you so much, chat. Thank you, chat. A little shout out down to you, chat. I really, really appreciate everybody who came along today, everybody who took part in the super chats and all that kind of stuff. I really appreciate it. I come on here every Monday night. I ramble on about various things. Hopefully I fulfilled my public service criteria. Hopefully I have informed you, educated you and entertained you. And on that basis, I'd like to say thank you and good night. And you're about to see the countdown. Ignore the countdown. It's the end of the show, ladies and gentlemen. It's the end of the show. Thank you, chat. I hope you enjoyed. I will share the link to the Take-Two interactive video for your pleasure and delectation. Thank you, and good night, one and all.
Rage on that beat, going crazy.